Welcome back to the Outfit Repeaters podcast. I'm Megan.
And I'm Shelby.
And we are your hosts. Today we are going to be discussing Season 1, Episode 16. I forgot the name.
Obsession.
Today we're going to be discussing Lizzie McGuire, Season 1, Episode 16, titled Obsession. But before we get there, Shelby, what are you reading? What are you watching?
I've been an audiobook fiend. So I finished The Tenant by, I think we talked about this last week, maybe? I don't remember. But
I think so.
I listened to The Tenant by Frida McFadden. 10 out of 10. Loved it. And now I'm starting, I'll get to the one we buddy read in a second.
Yeah.
Now I'm starting,
The Boyfriend?
Oh my gosh. The Boyfriend, yes. And I have about 2 hours left. And it's good. So, hopefully, Frida, she takes you one way, and then she ends up going in her old direction. So I think I have her figured out, but I never do. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And then I finished Haunting the Deep, which was the How to Hang a Witch sequel.
Okay.
So I finished that one last night, and
Dang.
I think I'm going to start, and I think I'm going to do like a cutie little summer read now.
You have to. You got to cleanse the palate before life starts getting serious again.
Yes. I think I'm going to do Problematic Summer Romance by Ellie Hazelwood.
Okay. I've seen really good things about that.
Yes. And the cover looks cute. So what could go wrong? And watching the new season of Big Brother came out last night.
Oh.
So we are going to be fully in the boat on that.
Excellent. Okay.
Yes. And then, should we talk about our buddy read?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So we buddy read Don't Let Him In by Lisa Jewell. And, I said last week when I was talking about the 2 or 3 audiobooks I had picked up recently, I'm like, Lisa Jewell never misses.
She doesn't.
But she did. She did this time. I just can't, this is all I can say. The man was so dramatic, he walked into the ocean, okay? I can't say any more than that. The twist wasn't twisting.
No.
We do know that Lisa loves a lot of characters, and so, I literally had to make a phone note because this is like a man who's like a con artist, and he's consistently going by different names with different partners. And so I had to make a list of which female partner went with which alias, and I kept sending it to Shelby as I updated it because I literally couldn't keep track of who was who. I knew all of these were aliases of this man, but which alias went with which partner during which time frame, because you're getting 4 years of
swindling.
Yeah. So you're getting flashbacks. It's not a full-on dual timeline, but you're getting a lot of flashbacks. So it just got confusing for a while, and I just don't think that the payoff was worth having 4 different couples, i.e. 8 characters, plus your side characters. But that's just me.
It was, yes, and something about Lisa I've noticed is she doesn't like to say characters' names, right in the first few chapters.
Yes. I wish each chapter was labeled chapter 20, Ash, chapter 13, Nick, or, whoever it was. So, that was a little, and it may have been harder for us because we were listening, because, if you're reading on a page, you can probably glance down a couple of sentences and be like, oh, okay, this is Ash's chapter. But, that was definitely something that was hard for me.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And, I don't know, I kept being okay, I'm in the epilogue. The big twist is coming because that's what happened and none of this is true. And then the twist came and I was like,
okay,
that's all?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was a little disappointed, but, checked it off my list. So,
yeah,
it was good. Are you reading anything else?
I'm still reading Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I'll probably finish that this weekend, and then I am trying to hit the parenting books hard. So I but about a week ago I got Bringing Up Bébé from the library on audio, which is about French parenting.
The bébé.
The bébé, yeah. So that's parts of that
Where's
were good,
the bébé's
but now we're
chambers?
talking about manners and things, and I'm like, I don't really care about that. Like, I care about a sleep schedule or like a feeding schedule. Like, I don't really care about what's like proper and courteous when they're arriving in someone's home. Like, I really just don't. But I still have like 3 more books that I need to like at least get part of the way through, so I feel like I have as many tools at my disposal as I can, but also like a book can't teach you how to do what you're gonna do. So maybe I should just take some of the pressure off of myself. I don't know.
Just wing it.
Just wing it. And then watching, we're on another old season of Survivor. It's season like 15, I think. And we've recently gotten into The Bear, which is like that FX show about like, I guess kind of like a failing restaurant. This gentleman unalives himself and leaves his restaurant to his brother, who's like a really good cook, like a Michelin-starred chef. And brother is having to figure out how to like make it work and make it profitable. And it's a little bit more drama leaning, but they also are 30-minute episodes, which I do appreciate.
That's good. That's good. Yes, I also, for watching, always go back and watch old seasons of Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders making the team. So now I'm in the 2008 season. They're brutal. Oh my gosh. People thought they were mean on the Netflix show, but years ago was a whole different thing.
That's like, what I've seen. Like, if you think that they're mean in America's Sweethearts, like, that has nothing on making the team.
I told Megan last night.
How do you stream that?
Paramount Plus.
Okay.
I told Megan last night, because I text her things and I'm watching, and I'm like, Kelly just told a girl that her legs look like KFC drumsticks. She did.
And when I said, like, skinny or fat, like, do you know what I was thinking of? I was thinking of, like, chicken legs. Like, I wasn't thinking of, like, an edible drumstick. I was just thinking, like, chicken legs, which is not what you said. That's just where my brain went.
I mean, a chicken drumstick is part of the leg.
It is. It's true. It's true. But,
yeah, she was doing her photo shoot, and she had her boots on. And Kelly was like, she's too short, the boots are too tall for her leg, and her thighs look like drumsticks. I was like, Kelly!
Okay, but literally, and this is like just tangent, but it just is what it is. Season 1, they had a girl, season 1 of America's Sweethearts, they had a girl that they cut because they thought she was too short. And they said in that season that if we're going to keep having this conversation, we need to have a height requirement. So, like, why haven't you done that if you're still having this conversation? Like, if you're so particular about the way that they look and the boots and the way they look in the line, like, the Rockettes have a height requirement. Do I love it? No, but that's because I'm ineligible.
Right.
No,
I've only heard of, like, of all of the seasons I've watched of Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, there may be less than, like, 5 girls who were, like, 5'5" and under. So, like, they like a mid-height kind of girl, like 5'6", 5'7", 5'8".
Kicks just don't look that impressive when your legs aren't long.
Right.
I get it. I get it. And they get it, but just say that, you know? Like, don't let people try out and, like, go through training camp and then crush their dreams because you know that you want someone with a longer leg.
Yes. Oh my
anyway, this is a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader podcast now. Thanks for tuning in today.
Oh my gosh. All right, so we are going to get into our episode. We texted each other during, and we were like, Lizzie is a stage 100 brat in this episode, in my humble opinion.
It was something else.
And then you texted me, you're like, she's literally screaming the entire episode.
She really is. Like, all she does is yell at people, and, like, not to get ahead of ourselves, but, like, if I had yelled at, like, a parent or a teacher, the way that she, like...
Or, like, I don't even know what could have happened. If I talked to my mom that way, it would have been the end of me. All right, so we open at school with the girls in the courtyard of school, and they're separating recycling from trash, and their teacher, Miss Moran, is that her name?
Yes.
Okay. Miss Moran comes up and says, "Great job, girls. This is the most successful food drive Hill Ridge Middle School has ever had."
And this is our first instance of them changing the name of the school.
Yes, yes. Because it was something, I don't even remember what it was in the rhythmic gymnastics episode.
Yes, I put like Northridge Junior High or something.
Something like that.
But it was something, it was North something for sure. And so like this is not even close to.
Not even close.
Not even close.
Not even close. And the girls said they actually had a good time, and they liked the fact that they received extra credit, so, go off. And Miss Moran says, you girls actually have a knack for this. Someone won't go hungry tonight because of all the food you collected. You two might want to think about taking on a new volunteer project. And Animated Lizzie's like, I totally have a knack for this. I ended world hunger in an afternoon, and she's climbing up the ladder of aluminum cans. And then when she gets to the top, they all crash. And she says, okay, maybe not ended, but I made a dent.
And I have to point out that Lizzie has her hair in like a Joe-esque updo that I love.
Yes. Speaking of Joe and Sam show up at school. They bring cans. Yeah, that was kind of abrupt. They bring cans for the canned food drive. And Miranda says she's got to go meet her mom. Hasta la bye-bye. And they gave each other an awkward side hug.
All I had to say was, like, is Hasta la bye-bye going to become part of our vernacular now?
Oh, she has said that, like, several times.
Has she really? Okay, well, I have not.
At least once or twice.
Now I
At least once or twice.
Hasta la bye-bye.
Hasta la bye-bye. So then they have an awkward side hug. And then Matt is also there. And after Miranda walks off, Lizzie says, so have they finally come up with a uniform for the socially challenged? And Joe and Sam are trying to defend Matt and say, like, it's okay. And it's okay. And they have realized that he is the school hall monitor, which I always thought would be a thing when I got to like, middle school.
Same. And it's
not.
But
it was not. It's not. It's just a Disney character plot.
Trope, yeah.
Plot aspect.
I think that they realized that, I mean, and we see this, like, in Matt's B plot, that, like, doing this in real life would give us too much power. And so I think that's why this does not occur in real life.
I mean, we all wanted to be the kid that took names when the teacher left school. Who was a snitch? We all wanted to be whoever had the power of the dry erase marker to write names on the board. Right. So after Lizzie makes her comment, Matt is like, no, Mom, no, Dad, you can't be mad at her for speaking the truth. And Joe says, your brother is wearing his hall monitor safety patrol belt. And Lizzie, because he has like a sash across.
Yeah.
And Lizzie says, hall monitor, how many garbage cans are you going to get stuck in? And Matt says, see, even my lame-o sister knows what's coming. Joe, now, honey, hall monitor is a very important job, and you should make the best of it. Sam, that's right, son. It's a position of honor. I remember when I was hall monitor, and then he has a flashback of giant
trash cans.
Yes, with giant rimmed glasses, and Sam getting shoved in trash cans. And he's like, you know what? Your sister might be right. So, we'll see. All right, after the theme song, we have the infamous three-way call. And as I was watching this, I rewatched it again a few minutes ago. They're all, like, fiddling with something while they're on the phone. So they have, like, the phone right here. And, like, Gordo has, like, a plastic crocodile. They're all fiddling with something in their other hand, which I thought was funny. And when we start seeing Lizzie show some attitude, she goes, Gordo, why weren't you at the food drive? Gordo says he has something more important to do. Lizzie, more important than ending world hunger? Gordo, the Science Olympics, they're this week. The long distance paper airplane contest, the egg drop, and the ultimate test of brains and brawn, the slow bicycle race. Miranda jumps in and says, Gordo, Tudgman always wins those. This is a very Tudgman heavy episode.
It is.
And Gordo says, not this year. He's going down. And Lizzie, back to her being a diva, says, so this means you're not going to be recycling with us? And Miranda says, when did we decide on recycling? Gordo says, good luck with that saving the earth thing, guys. I've got to go drop eggs off the roof.
Says it like it's the most casual thing in the world.
hear was, how expensive were eggs in 2002?
So we literally just went to the grocery store today, and I think we paid like $4.13 for a dozen.
Insane. Absolutely insane. So Gordo leaves a phone call, and Lizzie says, Miranda, meet me at the Digital Bean tomorrow. We're going to start there. And Miranda says, recycling. Can't wait to pick through garbage.
And the only like relevant item I wanted to point out from outfits here is that Miranda has blue and pink pom-poms in her hair.
Iconic. Of course she does.
I'm always going to point it out when she's got like a pom-pom or a fuzzy scrunchie. It just scratches it for me.
Okay, so we flash down to the McGuires at the dinner table, and Matt has fully embraced his role as home monitor. And he's saying about how he wrote Pete Gallen up from coming out of the bathroom. I asked him for a hall pass, but no go. So I wrote him up. He begged me not to. He even cried. You know, I think I'm going to be a mall cop when I grow up.
And I said, this tracks. Like, that is a very Matt-coded career.
Exactly. That's another reason why I wanted the reboot, because I wanted to see what Matt is up to.
He had to have turned into, like, some, I think we've probably said this, like, IT and does, like, hacking.
100%.
Had to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sam says, I know you'd get into it, son. Lizzie comes down and says, sorry I'm late. I was on the phone. And Joe's like, oh, it's okay. It's fine. And Max is, oh, no. That is not okay. I'm going to have to write you up. Late for dinner. That means no desserts. Try it, please, Matt. Please. Lizzie says, Mom, tell the Geek Patrol that if he touches my dessert, his citation writing days are going to be over. Matt, Mom, Dad, back me up here. They're like, no, sorry. And Sam says, why don't you let her off with a warning? And then he intensely stares at Lizzie and says, you're a troublemaker, Lizzie. I'll be watching you. I've seen your kind all my life. And then Lizzie responds with, of course you do, Officer Wacko. I live here. And then she says, before Captain Nutjob interrupted me, she's talking about how Gordo and Miranda and her are going to start a recycling project, and because their food drive was a huge success. And Joe and Sam are very proud of her. They're like, what's the plan? And they said they're starting at the Digital Bean tomorrow. And, well, she said she was thinking of starting at the Digital Bean tomorrow. And they're like, yeah, great. And then Lizzie says, but wouldn't it just make perfect sense to start right here at home? And they're like, yeah, great, wonderful. And then Lizzie starts giving out instructions. She says, we'll need to start by separating the garbage into plastic, paper, and glass. We'll need 3 separate recycling containers and someone to drive me to the recycling center each week. And Sam and Joe are like, oh, great, another thing we have to do.
Yeah, that went 0 to 100 real fast.
Yes, Lizzie is extremely bossy in this episode. All right, so that's her plan. But that plus still doing the Digital Bean because they're there the next day. And her and Miranda are picking through garbage at the Digital Bean. Were they sitting at a table or were they on the floor? I don't remember.
You know what? I don't remember either.
Okay.
They sit down at the table when they get their food, but I don't think they were, like, sitting at the table. But either way, they're, like, out in the open.
Right. Like, openly picking through garbage while other people are eating.
Health code violation.
Yeah. Big time. Miranda says, I didn't know that saving the earth was going to be so smelly. Lizzie, I know, but think how much we're helping. Miranda, and this is me, there's got to be a less disgusting way we can help.
And I do have to, we finally get a full shot of Lizzie's outfit. She is in a
I love this outfit here.
Classic early 2000s bandana, a red top, a dark blue denim jacket, and a denim patchwork skirt.
This is my favorite outfit. I loved this outfit. It was like, I want a bandana on my head right now.
Right now.
May have contemplated getting some on Amazon, but, you know, it is what it is. Lizzie says, what's disgusting is not recycling. You know how on TikTok everyone makes fun of Hillary Duff because she's like, yeah,
yeah.
She did this a lot in this episode. Like
Bless
right
her.
here where it has like the I mean on the transcript. Like that was on the transcript.
Yeah.
Um, she goes, I mean, look at this. We can save a tree if we recycle this and this. And she like pulls out random trash. And then Miranda says, and Lizzie says, this can be used too. And Miranda cuts her off and says, to save a plastic tree? And she says, no, to make other plastic stuff. I mean, if we keep throwing.
You couldn't resist.
It's because it's on the transcript. It's transcribed on there. If we keep throwing stuff away at this rate, in 50 years, there'll be enough trash gathered to fill the state of Texas twice. And my question was, where did Lizzie get all of these facts? Because, you know, Google was not Googling that hard in 2002.
She was like asking Jeeves at this point.
Or Yahoo.
Yeah. Yahoo Answers.
Yeah. And so Miranda says, where do you get this stuff? And she goes, I read. But I need to know more. And then she pulls out, and I have a comment about this. She pulls out the plastic 6-pack rings of like soda cans. And she says, and these, do you know how many dolphins get caught a year in this because people don't cut them up? I cut those up religiously after I watched this episode.
I have a note later in the episode that's like, how many years did you spend doing this? Because Lizzie convinced you to. Because it was a lot of years for me.
How many dolphins did we save because Lizzie convinced us to do
I don't know
this?
if we saved any because like I think they've kind of debunked that like that's really kind of the least of everybody's worries. It's less about the can plastic rings and more about the straws.
Yikes. I don't know. I'm going to pretend that a lot of dolphins were saved.
Yeah, same.
And Miranda says, are we saving dolphins too? Because I just thought we were saving the earth. And Lizzie says, dolphins are a part of the earth. Miranda says,
Miranda.
okay. Duh, Miranda, yes. She says, okay, fine, whatever. Save the planet. Save the dolphins. I'm going to go see if our food is ready. Lizzie, barking orders again, says, don't get too many napkins and get me some scissors. And then animated Lizzie says, I totally rule at this saving the earth thing. And she's juggling a dolphin, a bottle. What else? There's something else.
It was a dolphin, yeah, I guess a bottle, and then like a tree, like an entire tree.
Yes. Okay, and then I thought this was funny right here. So Miranda goes and gets their food, and they have 2 hamburgers. And Lizzie's cutting up the little plastic ring thing, and Miranda says, aren't you going to eat your burger? She goes, after I finish saving the dolphins. And Miranda says, well, can you at least not play with the trash while we eat?
Also, like, ew, they were just sorting all of that, and neither one of them went to wash their hands before eating.
Have gloves on. Through other people's garbage.
Disgusting.
Okay, and then we see Parker. We haven't seen Parker since picture day, I don't think.
Nope.
Okay, Parker, in her unusually loud voice, comes up and says, I think what you guys are doing is really great.
That was spot on.
I practiced.
Take it again.
I think what you guys are doing is really great. Like, really. And Lizzie's like, thanks. Parker says, so many people don't even care about the Earth environment. They think the Earth has, like, this infinite resource, and it's not going to last forever. Is that a burger? And Lizzie's like, yeah, you want a bite? And Parker says, of your burger. And Miranda's got a mouthful, and she's like, yeah, they're really good. And Parker says, how can you enjoy eating some poor dead animal?
And here, I finally just said, like, this girl that plays Parker is a terrible actress for real.
They should let me do it.
I mean, maybe it's because she's just so loud, but she's like, how can you enjoy eating some poor dead... Like, girl, stop talking so slow and stop yelling.
Baby, you got a mic on. They're going to hear you. Like,
right.
The camera's going to hear you.
Yeah.
Lizzie says, I never thought of it that way. And then Parker says, well, maybe you should. Meat eater.
Okay.
Miranda's got a ton of good lines in this episode. She goes, can you believe how weird Parker is? And Lizzie also, in one of her little, like, point of views, it zooms in on her hamburger and it moves. And she goes, I think I just became a vegetarian.
And what's funny to me is that, like, we only get the, like, poor dead animal angle when, like, there actually is a legitimate environmental impact to, like, vegetarianism. So, like, I mean, maybe this is the early odds, so maybe this is before we knew all of that. But I thought that was kind of interesting because I was like, they kind of did not tie those two things together when they are, in fact, directly related.
Lizzie's just like, oh, it's going to save the planet or an animal? Okay, fine, count me in.
Yeah. One more cause? What's one more cause?
What's one more? Yes. Animated Lizzie says, this is getting a little more complicated than I thought, and then a giant cow drops on her and squishes her. And then one last line of the digital bee, Miranda says, are you going to eat that? And then she takes Lizzie's hamburger, and I'm like, go off, queen. You eat your 2 hamburgers.
Heck yeah.
That was like me at the peanut festival with the corn dogs.
Oh my gosh. This just has to be told. It just has to be told. You can't just drop that in here and not tell everybody what you're talking about. So to keep this as short as possible, in Shelby's hometown, there is a carnival that is called the Alabama Peanut Festival. And it's like a big thing in South Alabama. And so
the county fair.
Yes. So I went down to go with Shelby one year, and another one of our sorority sisters also went. And our last stop on the way out was, quote, the corn dog man. Because he makes really good corn dogs. And
he makes the best corn dogs.
Shelby ordered, did you order 3?
No, I got 2. They come in a 2. Like, that's like their thing. They give you 2.
So yeah, so Shelby orders 2, and then our friend that was with us didn't eat her second one. So Shelby ate like 3, maybe 4 corn dogs.
They were so good. 0 regrets. 0 regrets. Those are the best. All right. Now we see Gordo and Tudgman in a classroom, and they're sitting like across the room but face to face, and they're just like staring each other down. Tudgman says, you know you can't beat me, Gordo. I own the science Olympics. Gordo says, not this year, Tudgman. You're going down. And then Tudgman has a monologue and says, am I? I think, and he's like leaning close in. Now he's gone across the room and is like staring Gordo down, like leaning over him on his desk. Am I? I think not. Or have you forgotten last year? Last year when your egg cracked. Like, well, an egg. And let's not forget about the paper airplane contest where you nearly blinded Mr. Lang. Oh yeah, I gave you the slow bike race. I'll call that pity. But let's face it, Gordo. The best man won. Moi. Tudgman's petty. Gordo fires back with, Tudgman, you know that little voice in your head late at night? The one in the back of your head that says, oh, not good enough. Oh, I don't think I can win. That's me, Tudgman. Because I won't eat. I won't sleep until I beat you. I'm already in your head, Tudgman. I own you. And here I said this was a very memorable Gordo monologue because I remember that I'm already in your head. Oh my gosh. It just gets worse from here. So at the McGuire home, Matt is telling all about his hall monitor citations of the day again. He says he gave one person 3 citations in one day. That kid's headed for trouble. Sam says, 3 citations? I never gave out 3. And then Matt says, yeah, I checked the other hall monitors. It's a record. Not something to brag about, Matt. Yeah, maybe not. Joe says, well, Matt, just make sure that you're using your power responsibly. And then Lizzie brings down like a whole pile of clothes. She goes, what are those for? And then Matt gets his flashlight out and was like, you better answer the question, McGuire, and it better be the truth. And Lizzie says that her and Miranda decided to donate clothes to the homeless shelter because it's clothes she hasn't worn in ages anyway. Sam says, I thought you guys were doing recycling. And she's like, we're doing that too. And he says, aren't you taking on a lot? And animated Lizzie says, well, if my parents' generation wasn't so interested in bell bottoms and roller disco, the planet would be in a lot better shape. Lizzie says, Dad, there's a lot to worry about. Oh, and we're taking some of the canned foods to the shelter. And like the cans she's picking up are what they were going to eat for dinner. And Joe points that out and was like, we need that for dinner. And then Lizzie says, the homeless need it more than we do. This whole exchange is really sassy. And then Sam says, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, you have to point out here that at the same time that they're having this conversation, Joe has a strainer of, I think, like green beans in the sink that she's trying to wash for dinner. And while Lizzie and Joe are talking, she keeps shutting off the water while Joe is trying to wash these vegetables.
And I have a question about that later. We'll get to this conversation and then I'll bring it up. Lizzie says the homeless need it more than we do. Sam says, honey, we just gave the shelter a whole bunch of cans. Lizzie, Dad, the homeless population has exploded in the last 5 years. And then Joe like calls her out on her like turning the water on and off. And she says, Mom, water is a valuable resource. The earth doesn't have an infinite amount. Matt says, Geekzilla's right. Mom, can't waste water. I'm going to have to write you up. Joe, fine. No clean vegetables, no dinner. Matt gives a citation for delaying dinner. And then Sam sets in, yes, 2 in the total of 5 seconds. He says, hey, Matt, why don't you let your mom and sister work this out and we'll take out the garbage. Okay, before we go on to that, I have a question. So when Lizzie says there's not an infinite amount of water, but like, what about the water cycle?
I think she'd just be saying stuff at this point. Like, she's just saying whatever best supports her case at this point.
Yes, so I Googled it. And there is, recyclable water, but there's not an infinite amount of fresh water. But I'm like, can't they just clean the water? Like, through filter? I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Can't they just clean the water?
Don't they have, like, water filtration systems? I don't know.
She's like, I don't know. I teach social studies. I don't teach science.
I don't teach science. I don't teach environmental science. All right, sorry. I had to have that caveat, so let's get back. Okay. So Matt and Sam take out the garbage, and Lizzie calls them out and says, do you realize how many trees could die because you haven't separated the paper from the plastic? And Joe says, okay, I separate the laundry. True.
Yeah.
True. Animated Lizzie, typical mom. I'm talking about saving the world, and she's talking about laundry. Oh, sorry.
And animated Lizzie is using a stethoscope on a giant earth that is panting and has an ice pack on its head.
Oh, yes. That was like something I vividly remembered about this episode, about that specific
The
clip.
earth was as out of breath as I am currently.
Literally. Lizzie says, I think you could be a little more supportive. You agreed to separate the garbage and you didn't follow through. If I did that, you would be mad at me. And
nobody agreed to this. She just blasted off at the dinner table that this was what was happening, but nobody said, okay, we'll help, or like, yes, we can do that.
She just gave out barking orders. And Sam says, that's correct, but I think you need to recycle your attitude, young lady. And then we hear a doorbell ring, and it's Miranda. And she comes in wearing a blue leather jacket, which Lizzie has already worn.
I literally said that. I was like, that's Lizzie's jacket.
Jacket that Lizzie is so upset about, but she owns. But whatever. Plot twist. Or no, not plot twist. Plot hole.
Plot hole.
Yep. And Miranda comes in with her blue leather. It's a fab jacket. It's a blue leather jacket. Miranda looks super excited. She already has it on. And Lizzie's like, where did you get that? Miranda's like, at the mall. Isn't it fab? Lizzie, Miranda, you can't wear that. And Miranda says, are you kidding? This is totally in. And then Lizzie says, but I thought we were going veggie. Miranda, back up. You're going veggie. And plus, what does that have to do with my jacket? This is a prime example of Lizzie just making decisions for other people and not asking for their input or if they want to participate. And Lizzie says, it's leather. Leather is cow. Cow is meat. I don't eat meat.
I don't eat meat.
Miranda. This is one of my favorite lines of the episode.
It is.
My jacket.
Oh my gosh.
Lizzie says, I can't believe you. I thought you cared about the environment. Miranda says, chill, it's just a jacket. Lizzie, obviously I can't count on you for help, so I'm just going to have to do this all myself. Miranda says that Lizzie is totally overreacting. Lizzie has a crash out. She says, I'm overreacting? Tell me that I'm overreacting when the garbage piles up so high and blocks out all of the sunlight and we freeze. Miranda, another good line from Miranda. She goes, yeah? Well, at least I'll have my jacket to keep me warm. They both close the door and they both are like, oh, I can't believe her. Okay, so the next day at school, Miranda finds Gordo and says, we need to talk about Lizzie. And Gordo is like folding hundreds of paper airplanes.
Yep.
He says, can't talk, folding. Miranda says, Lizzie's gone loco. And Gordo says, still can't talk, still folding, and he is locked into his paper airplane. Miranda's like, what is wrong with you? Gordo says, the paper airplane distance contest after school must beat Tudgman. Miranda says, Gordo, this is serious. Lizzie is ending our friendship over a stupid leather jacket. Okay, a really cool leather jacket, but you know what I mean. And Gordo says she'll get over it. And then he throws one of his paper airplanes and it just nosedives. And Miranda says, is it supposed to do that? And then Lizzie comes in.
Oh no.
In her burlap dress.
I said Lizzie is full granola in a knit bandana, a brown like tie-dye long sleeve shirt, and then the burlap tan dress over it.
I'm like, did she go to Hobby Lobby and get a bunch of burlap and make that? Like, where did she find this on a whim? Like, because online shopping wasn't a thing. So, where did she find this?
Style Shack. We haven't gotten there yet.
We haven't gotten there yet. So, Lizzie sees all of the paper airplanes on the floor and starts having a freak out. She's like, what is this? And Gordo says he's working on it. And Lizzie says, 99% of paper products are recyclable, and yet only 15% of people recycle. And Gordo's like, that doesn't make any sense. And Lizzie says, exactly. Gordo says that he needs to test out multiple designs for his paper airplanes and see which one travels the farthest so he can beat Tudgman. Lizzie says beating Tudgman is not more important than saving the trees, Gordo. And he says, this is all I've dreamed about. It is. It's all I've dreamed about since the 4th grade. Recycling is going to have to wait. And Lizzie hollers. She's like, the earth can't wait.
Yeah. Pretty much from this point forward, the only volume that Lizzie speaks in is yelling.
Yes. And that's not a way to get people on your side, Lizzie.
No.
Miranda says, I'm going to be eating my lunch alone today. Next, we see a montage of Matt giving out citations at his school, which one thing I noted was a girl just like casually riding her scooter through the hallway.
What the heck was that?
She got a citation just for not wearing her helmet.
Oh, it was for not buckling her helmet. She had the helmet on, right, and she just didn't have the chin strap buckled.
Not the like whole scooter in school thing, but
yeah,
because it was, and then he gives one out for kids being loud in the hallway while testing was in progress. And then he also sees a teacher running down the hallway and gives a citation to a teacher. And they were like, Shirley, you've got to be kidding me. And he says, I'm not kidding. And don't call me Shirley.
And the teacher picks him up and starts to haul him down the hallway like under one arm. And Matt is shouting, respect my authority!
Oh my gosh. This is an all-around good episode.
It was.
So, Tudgman and Gordo are having a stare down in the hallway while, like, the old school, like, Western music starts playing. I was expecting a tumbleweed to go through the hallway. There was?
There was a tumbleweed.
Maybe Maybe I just remembered that from childhood that I didn't like see it.
Yeah.
And Hudson starts profusely sweating.
Profusely.
And then Gordo starts yawning. And Miranda comes up and ruins the stare down and is like, "What are you doing?" He says he is intimidating Tudgman. And Miranda says, "Yeah, that yawn looked pretty scary."
Clocked.
And Gordo says, "Well, it's working. My late nights are actually paying off. We're tied. He won the egg drop, and I won the long-distance paper airplane contest. Now, it all comes down to the slow bike race after school. The last person to cross the finish line wins." And he does a big yawn. And that's what I say to my cats. That was a big yawn.
Mm-hmm.
Miranda says, "I think you need to trade that bike helmet for a pillow, but I'll be out there cheering you on, and hopefully Lizzie will too." And they walk into their class, and Lizzie, this is the same day in her burlap outfit. And Miranda says hey to her, and Lizzie just says, "Yes." Girl. Miranda's a better person than me.
Yeah.
And Miranda says, "Lizzie, listen, I'm not wearing leather today. I didn't eat meat for dinner last night, and I recycled my soda can at lunch. So can I talk to you?" And she's like, "I guess."
Rude.
I know, rude. And Miranda's like, "What are you wearing?" Lizzie, "Burlap. It's a renewable resource." "Okay, Lizzie, I'm really worried about you." And then Lizzie starts crashing out again. And she goes, "Don't be worried about me, Miranda. Be worried about the world. Be worried about the environment and the homeless people and the animals and the rainforest and the ozone layer." And then Miranda says, "Well, the rainforest isn't going to hang out with me and rent movies with me on Friday night. So can you just put this aside for a few hours and let's go watch Gordo at the slow bike race after school?" And they're in Miss Moran's class. And she said, who is their teacher for the food drive. And she says, "Okay, everyone clear your desk for a pop quiz." And Gordo has this whole time, during this whole exchange, put his head down on his bike helmet. And she says, "Mr. Gordon, are you still with us?" And he pops up and is like, "I'm just resting my eyes." And then Lizzie says, "Miss Moran." And Miranda says, "Lizzie, don't." And Miss Moran says, "There will be time for your question after the quiz." Lizzie, "No, there won't be time."
This is where I start to clutch my pearls.
This is where, like, the teacher in me would have been like, "I'm going to stop you right there."
Yeah. Shelby would have just been like, "Get out. Out.
Get out. Out. Bye." Hasta la bye-bye. Again, Miranda's like, "Lizzie, stop." And Lizzie says, "Miss Moran, we're running out of time."
Running out of time! What would Granola Lizzie think that now we're, like, recapping this 20 some odd years later and there's still time, apparently.
"Lizzie, quiet." And she says, "No, I won't be quiet." This reminds me of, like, a protest of people being like, "We won't be quiet."
Yeah.
But it's just Lizzie. And Miranda's like, "Oh, here we go." And Lizzie says, "Do you know how many trees you killed with your little pop quiz? You could have printed those double-sided. You could have saved a life." And then animated Lizzie is, like, trying to protect a tree, and the tree falls over, and she's, like, shaking her angry fist, and she's like, "Tree killer!" And Miss Moran says, "I'm going to ask you one more time, Lizzie, to sit down and be quiet. We'll discuss this after the quiz." Lizzie, "I would expect you, out of all people, to understand. You encouraged us to start this project. Why won't anyone help me?" Animated Lizzie is carrying the world on her back and says, "Well, this is getting really heavy." Miss Murray says, "Miss McGuire, I am going to help you. I'm going to send you home to get some sleep." And Animated Lizzie's like, "Oh, I know I'm in trouble." She's like, "That's not good." And then the teacher writes her a pass, I guess to check out. I don't know, never heard of that.
Yeah, no.
And Lizzie very sassily, like, snatches it out of her hand and, like, walks off. No. No. Absolutely not. And then she walks out and slams the door, and Gordo pops up and says, "I'm not sleeping. I'm just resting my eyes." Okay, so now we see everybody at the McGuire home, and my note here was, are Sam and Joe never at work?
Also, like, Joe was like, hey, is it 3 o'clock already? And Lizzie and Matt both got sent home from school early. Nobody notified Sam or Joe that the kids were being released early, and if they didn't, how did they get home?
Yeah, how did they get home?
They didn't take the bus because it's not, like, a regularly scheduled time. Plot hole.
There's so many plot holes. So, Lizzie and Matt both talk about how they got sent home early. Matt said, they said I was power hungry. I don't even know what that means, but I gotta get... and Sam said, son, you gotta know when it's your time to turn in the belt. And Matt says, but I can't leave my post. And Joe says, honey, the school will be fine. You need to rest. The other hall monitors are on duty. And Matt says, but I'm the... And he, like, slams his head down into his plate. And Joe says, we'll talk about that later. Get your head out of the sandwich. And Lizzie says, okay, now he's scary. And Joe says, he's scary?
You've been screaming for 21 straight minutes.
Exactly. Sam says, Lizzie, I hate to break this to you, but you two have more in common than you think. And they're walking to the living room, and she's about to have a heart-to-heart with her parents. And Joe says, Lizzie, you've got a big heart, and we're very proud of you. And Sam jumps in and says, but you're taking on too much. You can't save the world by yourself. Lizzie, well, no one's helping.
Still on 11.
Sam says, well, we are going to help recycling. That's a very good idea. And Joe says, and we're going to be a lot better about that, but you need to relax. And Lizzie, how can I relax? Oh my gosh. And then Joe says, honey, you're running yourself into the ground. And Sam makes a very good point here that I want everyone listening to always remember. You cannot get anything done if you don't take care of yourself first.
Correct.
And I stand by that. And Lizzie says, she brings her volume back down. She goes, I never thought of it that way.
And you know what? Most women don't.
Yep.
But we are a mental health and wellness podcast, so we're here to remind you.
We are here to remind you, if you want to go take a nap, just take a nap.
Yeah.
Sam says, if you want to make a big difference, all you need to do is pick one thing and just go for it. And Joe says, get some help too. What happened to Gordo and Miranda? And Lizzie says, I was kind of a jerk. No, you know what? I was a big jerk.
Huge.
Can I go back to school? Literally. Like, you're lucky they're going to talk to you again. She says, can I go back to school and watch Gordo in the slow bike race? And Joe says that she needs to take a nap and she'll drive her back up to school later.
And I love how, like, the parental solution in the situation for both children is go take a nap.
No, nothing about the attitude, the sass.
No. Go take a nap.
Go take a nap.
I want to take a nap.
I want to take a nap. I took a 2-hour nap today. It was really
I was going to say, you probably already took a nap. Don't you even say, I'm going to take a nap. I know you be napping.
I love to be napping. And Sam says, get upstairs right now and get some sleep. And Lizzie's like, I can't. And they're like, why not? And she's like, well, I donated my mattress to the homeless shelter. And they just kind of look at each other like, exhausted of her antics.
How did she do that without them knowing?
That's what I thought too. I'm like, how did she get a whole mattress out? Like, did someone come pick it up? Because surely,
right,
she like couldn't drive it there,
right?
And Joe's like, I'll go get a blanket for the couch. Sam says, I'll call the shelter. All right, now we're at school for the slow bike race, and the announcer says, it's time for the slow bike race. Here's what I thought was funny. He says, presenting last year's overall champion, Larry Tudgman. And all the kids started booing him.
Tudge.
And he says, and here's Mr. David Gordo Gordon. Move your bikes to the start finish and get ready to bicycle.
And here I said, like, here you're getting like a 360 of Gordo's outfit, and I had completely forgotten about aerodynamic Elvis, including the helmet with the Elvis wig on it.
Yeah.
And on the back in rhinestones, it says Gordo, and the O is a bicycle wheel. Perfection. Yes. No notes.
And Lizzie and Miranda are very impressed by his aerodynamic Elvis outfit. He says, it's designed to increase my wind resistance and slow me down. And they tell him good luck. And Tudgman says, who are you supposed to be? And he says, I'm the king, baby.
And here when we see the start of the race, I mean, the announcer, does the announcer thing.
Yeah.
This course makes no sense because it is so narrow. They have no choice but to start single file and stay single file for the entirety of the course. So whoever starts in position 1 is already at a loss because the whole thing is whoever crosses the finish line last wins. So, what sense does this make?
It doesn't. It doesn't make any sense. Another plot hole. So, yes, Tudgman is in the single file line, but again, it's not wide enough. So, the kids are chanting, Gordo, Gordo, Gordo. And Gordo is behind Tudgman. And as Tudgman is approaching the finish line, Gordo is still behind him. It looks like Gordo has the race won, and then he yawns and just flops over and falls asleep. And so Tudgman won by default because they were not allowed to leave the bike or standing or sit no, they could sit, but they weren't allowed to stand or leave their bike. And Gordo is disqualified because he left his bike. So unfortunate. Lizzie and Miranda go check on him, and they were like, are you okay? And they're like, you went down pretty hard. And he just says, thank you very much. And Miranda says, Gordo has left the building. And then we get the kids walking down the sidewalk after the slow bike race, maybe to walk home. Maybe that's how Lizzie got home. Who knows?
Maybe.
And Lizzie apologizes and says, let me be the first to say I was a total jerk and I'm really sorry. And Miranda says, good, you should be. And she's like, but you were kind of right. And I'm making my family cut up those 6-pack rings because I like dolphins. And she says, Gordo, I'm really sorry you didn't win your race. And he says, yeah, me too. If I hadn't stayed up all night creating my aerodynamic collar, I wouldn't have fallen asleep and I might have won. There's probably a lesson in there somewhere, but I'm just too tired to find it. And that's how we know Gordo is tired, because he be finding lessons for everything.
It's the shrink parents.
And they're like, oh, there's always next year. And then Miranda says, please tell me your days of burlap chic are over. And she says, ugh, they are. And she's going to pick just one thing and stick to it. Like stray dogs. Do you know how many dogs are abandoned at shelters every year? And we see animated Lizzie petting a dog. And he's like, can I keep him? And then Gordo is still dressed as Elvis. And then Tudgman walks by or rides by on his bike. And he says, look, the aliens brought Elvis back. And they shrunk him.
Tudgman in the last scene acted like he didn't know who Elvis was. So, make that make sense. Right. Plot hole.
Gordo's like, I hate that guy. And then this is a George of the Jungle reference when they're like, hey Larry, look out for that, and you hear a crash and they're like, never mind. And then he's like, it's okay, I'm good. And that is the episode. This one's a good one. I liked this episode a lot.
It was. I will say the one outtake that I thought was really funny in the scene where Gordo and Tudgman are having the hallway face off with the Western music and the tumbleweed, and Tudgman is just profusely sweating. You get a shot of a producer spritzing him in the face with water at very close range, and he's
oh yeah,
jerking his head back, which I thought was really funny.
Necessary. Oh my gosh. Okay, what are your thoughts on this episode?
Loved it. This, I mean, both plots were solid. We get a lot of plot with side characters that we don't normally get a whole lot of, so that was really enjoyable to get some Parker plot and some Tudgman plot.
Yes, and I think, the whole obsession title, everyone got, hyper fixated on something. Lizzie, Gordo, Matt, everybody just needed to calm down.
Yep. Everyone needed a nap.
Lizzie, I make everything about Taylor Swift. Lizzie, you need to calm down. You're being too loud.
Yes.
Because she was on 12 the entire episode.
She really was.
She was hollering. Okay, so favorite quotes and favorite outfits. I said my favorite outfit was the denim patchwork skirts with the orange bandana.
My favorite outfit is Gordo's aerodynamic Elvis suit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm going to go with when Lizzie says, leather is cow, cow is meat, I don't eat meat. And Miranda says, fine, so don't eat my jacket.
Yeah. Mine's going to come from the same scene when Lizzie talks about the trash piling up so high it blocks the sun and everybody freezes. And Miranda's like, yeah, well, at least I'll have my jacket to keep me warm.
That's right.
Honestly, I could have picked anything Miranda said this episode, and it would have been good. Would have been good.
So next week we are covering Sibling Bonds, Season 1, Episode 17, where Lizzie is forced to attend the school's golf tournament while handcuffed to Matt. This is a good one.
This is an Ethan episode.
It is an Ethan episode, and I think Kate gets pushed into a pond at the end.
Okay.
Doesn't she?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, something like that. Yes.
Well, that'll be fantastic.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
this is going to be great.
Fabulous. Join us next week for that. If you want to watch ahead of time, again, that was Season 1, Episode 17, Sibling Bonds. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you liked this episode, please share it with a friend. If you like our show, please subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on and rate us 5 stars. It helps us a lot. We are on all social platforms as The Outfit Repeaters Pod. And until next week,
we're outie.
Hasta la bye-bye.